So, in the year of 2004, Gary and his, I don't know if they were married then, but his wife, Melissa, whatever, they launched their version of the Rippaverse, I guess, Entropy Comics, which is a very ironic name for a comic book publishing thing, because they put out 5 issues and they were done. And these are some of the shittiest, crappiest looking comics you could ever see, except for his wife's art, which is dated as 1989. So this is in 2004, and they use her art from 89 for a cover. Okay. But then,
which I get looking at Gary's art.
Gary was the writer and the artist on a book. Can you guys believe that? So it takes a while to find. Like, I don't even know why would he put this out at all? Like, these are listed on like these websites that keep track of comics that have been published and whether you own it or you can buy it or whatever. So Comic Collector Live, and this is on there. Let's see. Notice he never talks about it.
Yeah, I
can
guess.
This makes the Rippaverse look like Marvel.
Yeah.
So this is Entropy Comics. Sorry, 2003, I guess. By Gary Buechler and Doug Johnson, whoever that is. Entropy Comics. This is Gary's magnificent art. Very cool, very cool.
Honestly, I'll be frank. I'm not an artist, and that looks like something I would have drawn.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I used to draw pretty well for my age back in the day. I stopped drawing, but I feel like if I picked it up and did right now, I could maybe pretty much get to this level. It's about where I was when I stopped. Which is not anywhere near where you should be if you're trying to launch a comic book and fucking make people pay for it. It's, and it just goes to show, like, I always thought that, a lot of these guys, they have in their background, they have some failed creative pursuit that they've done, whether it's, acting or writing or whatever it is. It's so common. And I thought that Gary maybe was an exception to that. Like, well, he had a comic book shop and maybe that's what he failed at, and he feels, entitled to shit on the world because of it. No, I think it must have been this. They put out, I think, 4 or 5 issues. And, this was about the time maybe when he was right out of prison. So maybe, he just had to work too hard to pay his, whatever restitution or something. Here's his wife's art, which, this cover's kind of weird. I don't know. It just has weird vibes, I guess, that I don't know what's going on here. But it's from 1989.
I think there's potential with that cover, depending on what the story's like. I think, sure. No, I don't think it's bad.
No, this actually isn't true. This is what I wanted to find out, because I see people saying that he sold meth to children at his comic book shop and stuff like that, and it's like theirs aren't even the same decade.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not sitting here trying to defend the guy, but like, there's not even in the same decade that he went to prison for selling meth and then owned a comic book shop. So, I mean, I know it's funny to say, but I was actually curious about the facts, so I looked into it.
Listen, Gary's a piece of shit. You don't have to make up stuff.
But like, look at the titles of some of these stories. The Joker and the Thief. The Encounter at the Fascist Convention. Weird. I want to be stereotyped. I want to be classified. No ratings here, unfortunately, so. Yep, there we go. Let's all laugh at Gary now.
No, I mean, I guess, if he can release a comic book that fails, that means I could do art for a failed comic book too. It makes me feel better.
No, it's okay. I just see it like on Reddit. I will see literally somebody on any post about Nerdrotic will say that the exact thing almost.
Yeah.
Some variation that like, oh, he sold meth to kids at his comic shop or whatever. It's like, I've seen it enough times.
No evidence of that.
Is that true? Yeah. So what I did was I got a month of background check service. You know how you got to pay to get actual background checks. If you ever tried one online, that usually will like sucker you into thinking that you're gonna get a background check, but then it does all this calculating and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So finally I was like, you know what? $10. I'm gonna see what I can do for a month with this thing. His criminal record apparently is so long ago and probably expunged that it probably only comes up in a federal search, which is
well, I think he's actually making a book about it now.
Oh, good, cool.
Well, I mean, you gotta make up for those lack of views, I guess.
I mean, the last thing that he got in trouble for was apparently a speeding ticket in Arizona. He was doing not quite 65 and a 55.
I've never done that.
Yeah, never done that shit. But I mean, like, what it does give you is, like, I know all the addresses of all his houses he's ever lived at, and the one he lives at now in San Antonio, his phone number, apparently. I've got that stuff. Not going to do anything with it, because why would I?
Not doing anything with that, but hey, I guess.
Afraid to discuss my dislike of people. Who are you talking to? Man, why do you do this? It's sad. Do you need content that bad?
Afraid to discuss your dislike of people like Ethan or me.
I think we've made a lot of content about why we dislike people like that.
Like, right? Yeah, we've talked about Ethan plenty. And Geek Getaway, I'll be frank, you're just not relevant. You're
right.
I don't care. Right?
I mean, that comic book that you guys are putting out looks about as bad as this Entropy Comics stuff here. That's not Tony. He's no longer Geek Getaway. Did he give his channel to somebody? What happened?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Tony in forever. I don't know the dirt on that. I think the last time I spoke with Tony was like 5 months, 6 months ago, maybe longer.
Oh yeah, you can do that. I mean, information on his bankruptcies, the liens that he's had put on him, stuff like that. Like it is invasive for sure. And I'm glad that I did it. But I mean, now I know exactly what these fucking things do. They essentially, grab information from all over the internet, and they have to pay. You have to pay from certain agencies to get information from them. So that's why you pay them, as well as just for the service. And then they kind of grab that information and collate it and give it to you. It's weird. It's weird to see the information on somebody that, like, I really genuinely don't like Gary a lot, especially lately, and just see it presented right there. And then still I feel bad for the guy, and I feel like I'm invading something by seeing it, and like, oh God, I fucking can't do anything with this. That's what it's like to have ethics, by the way, Gary.
What?
Because you're a liar, you're a swindler, you're a grifter, you're a scammer, you're a schemer.
Diversity.
You can pick up the softback trade paper.
The what now? Fucking pronoun.
Oh no, we become grifters.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Bob, shut up.
The fucking what?